Oh, I went to my favorite spot in my neighborhood. I went to the Mexican Party Supply store. I can't get enough of that. Mine's called Lupita's Party Supply. It's on York Boulevard. But it doesn't matter which one you go to. They all look the same. Spray-painted storefront. It says weddings, flowers, horchata, income tax, mufflers, and then there's a pinata out in front, like a bunch of them. It's like there's pinatas out in front of superheroes you can't even identify. I think that's Spider-Man. I'm not sure. I don't know why he's got a cape. There's some Mario Geppetto in the back making this going, yeah, this is Spider-Man. I put a cape. You, Stanley, my Spider-Man can fly. He runs out of web, it's not an issue. Woo. I went in there and I realized what they're doing. Just to get around all the licensing laws, they're creating their own characters. So you can ask for anything, and they've got their own version of it. You go in and ask for any Nickelodeon character, they're making their own up. It's like, hey, do you guys have Dora the Explorer? Well, we have something very similar. We have Stacy the Spelunker. She explores, mostly caves. So she wears a headlamp and she's friends with a bat. She doesn't have a backpack, she's a funny bug. Do you guys have Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius? We have something very similar. We have Freddy, the above average student. He doesn't build rocket ships, but he reads at high levels. So, single mom. I went in there and I got one of their Sponge Tom pinatas, and I brought that home. Now, I'm not sure if anyone's run a pinata before, but it's difficult because you got to get everybody a turn. Now, my wife is friends with all these LA hippie no sugar moms. So I have these 3- and 4-year-olds that have never seen sugared cereal or candy before, walking around this pinata with this crazed, rapey hillbilly look in their eye. Like, yeah, we're gonna get us some of this shit. I also invited all the Latino kids from the neighborhood. I thought that'd be a good idea to include everybody. Now, this wasn't their first pinata. This wasn't their first Sponge Tom of that day. They had seen some shit, and they were ready to get in there and f*** some white kids up. They were organized. They were all doing the pregame NBA thing at one point. They were ready to do some damage because that's what a pinata inspires. It's like, hey, kids, let's get your favorite cartoon character and let's lynch his ass. Then we can all take turns beating the shit out of it till his guts come out. We can all scramble for his sugary entrails. Who's with me? So I put an 8-year-old up, one of the older brothers up, to show the little guys how to do it. First batter knocks Sponge Tom's leg off. Out of his ball sack shoots a Jolly Rancher. In slow motion, comes firing out. Escape pod style, freezes in midair. It's one of those moments where time stopped and you could see everything. Now, my wife is friends with some of the people and the kids that go along with them. One of the kids we hang out with, for example, rubs his nipples when he's scared. And he has a severe underbite. So I had to hang out with his ass on Halloween, frightened at every house with the slightest bit of decoration. Cobwebs, some dry ice. I look over, he's on the sideline, greasing one up, ready to get in there. The Latino kids are poised, ready to go, boxing out perfectly. That's when I got distracted by one of the hippie moms who was breastfeeding a kid that was way too old to be breastfeeding. You ever seen that before? It's disgusting. A child should not be old enough to comment on the quality. Yeah. Like, did you go to Cheesecake Factory? Because this is f***ing delicious. It's like dulce de leche meets Riesling coming out of this thing. I just wanted to say thank you. So, the Jolly Rancher hits the floor. Kids go filing in there. They dismember Sponge Tom. Candy goes everywhere. As predicted, Latino kids get about 80% of the candy. Madrigals represent, we get another 15%. Nipple rubber, his crew, whatever they can get their hands on. Piece of newspaper from the interior, they're satisfied with anything. That's when my wife does something I wish she hadn't done, but like she always does, she comes in and goes, all right, everybody, if you got a lot of candy, if you could share the candy with the kids you And that's obviously not how my wife sounds. That's just how she sounds to me a lot of the time. you're gonna go to the store, can you pick up some... Just f***ing write it down. I got it. And if you want to know how the story ends, the kids ended up doing the right thing. They looked at their candy. They looked at the kids who didn't have a lot of candy. They looked at each other. They looked at my wife. And then they said, "Adios, pendeja!" And then they jumped the fence.